Hi guys, Swiftdeath Shots on this Easter Monday, and I hope you have a nice holiday. You had a nice Easter bank holiday. I'm so quickly bring you my final builds. This will be my final build before Dragons of Legend, because Dragons of Legend is ridiculous for zombies in so many ways, but we'll get through to that when we finally get the release. So this will be my final build pre Dragons of Legend. So I've been testing some stuff. I went to locals and I did some stuff with this, and changed some stuff around and testing the final two spaces, which I'm on 42 cards, which works okay for this deck because of the ability to mill and set up and search for all its stuff. So this will be the final build. If you want to see any of my stuff, subscribe. You can subscribe. Called Jamie the Kid 00 has currently put a video up of my Beezle zombies. So this is basically Beezle zombies. I've reverted to Beezle because Beezle's so amazing. So I'm going to quickly go through the deck with you. It plays really well. Greth is the most important card, which will all change when we get Curry Bandit and Mathematician, but I'll talk about that when we get there. But this is the build I currently run. So Zombie Master's gone down from 3 to 2 because I found it a little bit cloggy. It's now more of a. It's more now about maximising and optimising the deck. I found 3 to be too cloggy, 2 is just fine. Then we've still got the 3 Mizuki, of course. So the 3 Mizuki, all still going in, still doing what they normally do. Pitching to set up for Plague Spreader predominantly, or bringing back a Zombie Master in the graveyard. So that's all straightforward still, that's all the same. We're 2 Plague still, because we can pitch for it, we can search for it, and we can bring it back. So there's loads of recursion with the Plague. So we need the 2. The 3 Malicious, because Malicious is a guy. Malicious is a ridiculous card. He lets you do everything with the deck. He's the one that lets you push the biggest, lets you do most of your stuff. And then probably one of the most important cards, probably about the 3rd most important card in the deck, is Dark Grether himself. Dark Grether is ridiculous. With Dark Grether you can set up everything in this deck. You don't have to rely on random milling of the Light Swans. You can discard the Plague or the Malicious to put one or the other in, or a Zombie Master in the graveyard. Or pitch or like I like doing, pitching another Grether to put Grether in, because you don't, once you've used its effect and got it on board, you don't need the 3rd one. But the 3rd's in for consistency. You can run 2. I found it really inconsistent running 2, so that stays at 3, and it's worked really well for me. We're going to run some Chaos, so the Light Contingent or MST bait. Plus, this card's really good because it forces back row. When this is played, back row tends to get forced. So if you're going into 3-4 back row and you know you want to do a play, this card's too good. Also, the mill's really good as well, and its effect to destroy a spell trap. So it's really everything I need for this deck. One of the other newest inclusions is the one Thunder King, because Thunder King is amazing v spellbooks. It's amazing for Gearja because I can't search. Lots of things like to search at the moment, and Tenki's a guy, as is Yamato, and all those things like to search, and they can't do it under Thunder King. So Thunder King, I wish it was at 3. I'd be running 3 if it was at 3, but sadly it's at 1, so I can only run the 1. 2 Maxi. Maxi's in here mainly to stop Gearja and other special summon decks, and it's also a way to draw cards if they try the Maxi challenge on you. The old Maxi challenge letting you draw. It's my main way. One of my main ways of drawing. It's one of my main ways to slow people down. There's not much ways to draw in this deck, but this card normally sizes out against anything where I'd only get a 1-for-1 on the Maxi. So overall, it's really good. It's a nice hand trap. I wouldn't go up to 3. I don't think. I think 2 is just right this format. Only up to 3 against things like Gearja and things that I know all special summon. And of course, the other Light Contingent's the 2 Veiler. Because Veiler's still gone down to 3 to 2, if anyone else was watching before. Because I now run a heavy trap lineup, I can afford to run Fiendish Chains, so I don't need the 3rd Effect Veiler. And the Effect Veiler is just that. Now the attack blockers, as we have to have some even though we run the full trap lineup. Tragodia is probably the best of all of them. It lets you level manipulate for M7, it lets you level manipulate to make a rank 4, it lets you level manipulate off the Malicious and the Chaos Assault to make bills. It also can be a really good beta, particularly if Maxi's been played and you're drawing cards. It also just helps to keep you from being OTK'd as well. You can also steal monsters and lots of people love running level 4s, and pitching a Mizuki from hand is really good. So this card is one of my favourite cards at the moment, one of the best ones. I just wish I had some ultis, but loving this, loving Trag. And I also got now the inclusion of Gauze. Gauze has been really interesting. I'm going to spend a little minute talking about Gauze. Gauze has been really interesting. Since its inclusion, it's been a lot easier for me to set nothing. When people are aware you play Gauze, they try and play clever, and that you set nothing, and they still don't want to attack. Even if you're bluffing, they don't want to attack. That's what makes it really good. People have to fear the Gauze play, because you can lose to Gauze really quickly. If I was in the OCG, double Gauze would be a thing right now. Oh, definitely. I've won games purely with Gauze alone. For that sole reason, it's too good right now. No one's thinking it's Gauze format. When they push, you get this down, and they're like, wow. So I love Gauze for that. Onto the boss monster area. 2 Chaos Sulk. Chaos Sulk is a bit... I used to love Chaos Sulk. I used to talk about Chaos Sulk all day. I'm finding it a little dead at 2, if I'm honest. I would run 1, but I like the fact that you can pitch 1 as well if it's dead in hand. It also makes a Beezle, and its effect's ridiculous as well. So it's a really good push on the board as well. It also forces back row, which is something else you want to do with it as well. Got the BLS. BLS wins games, and the one probably my MVP of this deck is Dark Arm Dragon of all my boss monsters. This card, when played so well. You can do anything with this card really. You just get to go and win games off it. So it also forces back row if you're trying to bait out to make the Beezle plays, and you want your Beezle to push through rather than the dad. So it's really good for that too. Onto the spells now. 1 charge, search out your Lilas to mill. Now that I'm running Wad Traps, this is a bit more redundant, but it's still really good. First turn mill is always really good, so it's in for that reason. Then you've got the Allure to search, banish, darks everywhere, so Dark Hole wins games still. If you're not main Dark Hole at the moment, you should be. And then the most recent one is what is 2 Mystical Space Typhoon. These were going to be Lances, but I feel that main deck Skill Drain, main deck Macro, main deck D-Fisher, or even inside in D-Fisher will wreck my deck 100%. I can't do a lot through that, so I have to have these in. Also, Fiendish Chains are at 3 right now, so this card's really important to have for that reason too. Anything that helps me, basically, if I go Lila and then go Fiendish Chain, I can chain this and get rid of 2. So anything that lets me do a 2 for 1 is really good. So I still get to keep the Lila, so that's really good. So this is why it's got to be MST over anything else, because it has standard basic out to anything that could be a problem for my deck on the back row. So into the traps, your staples, Bottomless, TT, Compulsion Warning obviously, and don't need to say a lot about those. And then now I've got the 2 Fiendish Chain. I wish I had room for the 3rd. I might have the room for the 3rd, I haven't decided, but because I'm testing something else. This card's really good. It stops so many things. It's probably the trap of the format still. It was a trap of last format, it's probably the trap of this format. And something else I'm finding really good, Miracles. Although it's a bit annoying when you don't get it off. When you get it off, the pluses on this card are so stupid right now. It's ridiculously good against Gearja, anything you want to check. And the only issue is things that can't be destroyed, but it lets you plus with this card so much. The last trap I'm running is a bit of a weird one, but Eradicate Epidemic EV, basically Eradicate Epidemic Device. Sorry guys. This card is in here for spellbooks, heavy back row decks, anything that plays mainly spell traps, so burn as well, I guess, because you've got Beezle, you've got Void Ogre, you've got Colossal, you've got Gauze in the main, you've got Trag you can make big enough. This card is really live and it's really damaging. If they're playing Gearja and you get to make the Beezle and they go Compulse, and you go chain this, say traps, and watch the back traps go, and you get to see their hand, and you get to see what they draw, you're in a really strong position from this card. Same with if you attack into a DP, you can chain this on attack declaration with Beezle. So that's why I'm running it. It's really strong, a really powerful card, and it will lock down spellbooks. So that's the main guys. That's the main deck. 42 cards. Go into the extra deck real quick. Currently it's Cowboy. This will be a crazy box. The reason it's going to be crazy box is quite straightforward. Crazy box because skill drain Dark World is a thing at the moment, and how not many people say this, but under skill drain, crazy box gets to attack, and it's an auto out for skill drain, and its neat EV target being 3000 attack. Plus its effects, although random, aren't too bad. So it's just something I can sit on with 2 rank 4s that are just chilling, not doing anything. So though it's this is currently a Cowboy, it's going to be a crazy box. Diamond Direwolf, because this is the most recent inclusion, because now M7's back down to 1 because I can't run enough level 6s, so rank 6s in to make it. This basically is going to be instead to destroy monsters, pop things that are a problem, anything main deck that I can't get over, I can just make 2 level 4s to pop it over. Exton, amazing card. I wish I could run 2. If I could have a second, if I had a second, I'd run it over Diamond Direwolf, 100%, because this card wins games. This card's so good in zombies where you're minusing in your hand all the time as well. So this card's ridiculous winning games, and you can use it with Beezle on the field, so it's effective with Beezle on the field unaffected. So why wouldn't you run 2 of this in your next deck with the zombie Beezle? So Honor Arc, I was running 2 Honor Arc. Didn't really like it. I find 1 sufficient for this deck. When it has to make big pushes, if you're making this and there is back row, you're invariably not going to get it off, and the second one doesn't come into play because you're minusing all the time with this deck. So I find this is better at 2 in decks that are inherently plus. So I'm just making rank 8, we're making level 8 synchros and not rank 4s primarily. This card's only at 1. The single level chain, this card's still really important. Sets up your pitches, sets up your plays, sets up anything nice that you want to do. So this card's still really important. D'Augusta Emerald, still again another really important one. Resets everything. Send back your Exton if you need to. Send back your hand traps. Send back your Lilas if you need them. And get to draw. So it's really important for that effect. Just the 1M7 now, like I said, was at 2. This card's still ridiculous. Its attack's ridiculous. I just can't make more than 1 now, so it's back at 1. Bring back the BLS, bring back the Chaos Sulks, bring back Lila even, so another one I like to do, or Fat Baylor too. So really good. Just to run level 6 Sahemoth. Sahemoth's the best one because it checks anything that wants to attack over you. Checks Noble Knights who can't be destroyed and targeted while they've got equips. Checks Susano, and checks Yamato, and the most Bujin things that they can do. So it checks all those, that's why it's got to be that one. On to the level 8s. Scrap, because Scrap's amazing. Blader is the only one I'm unsure about at the moment because I haven't been using it that often. I don't go into it, but it's in here as utility. Crimson Blade, again, I'm not sure about it. I don't go into it too often anymore, but it's in here for utility and the fact that you can always use it against Bujin. So, 1 Stardust, because Stardust is amazing still. Again, I find now with builds, I don't go into it as often as I should, but if I need to make a spare level 8, it's there. Double Bills, because Bills is amazing. 1's not enough, 3's too many, so I find 2 the perfect number. And the last one is Void Ogre, because Void Ogre is like Shien and just stops everything. Once you put this down back row, they can't really do as much, particularly for Bills out as well, and you've got no hand. Best play setup is either one of these 2, probably with a rank 4, and then you just set up with no hand, and they can't do much either turn, and so they sit there on that. The other play that I like to do if I'm going for the OTK push is Scrap Dragon, because Scrap Dragon can target Bills. Bills won't be destroyed by Scrap Dragon's effect, and you get a free pop. So you're plussing off this play, so that's really good. That's another one I like to do. That's really my deck. The inherent weaknesses I'm finding are Fate, Compulse, Fiendish Chain's the worst at the moment. For Bills in particular, Fiendish Chain's the worst. I'm finding this deck's really good. If you get set up really early on, they tend to not be able to win. So I'm liking it. I'm liking this deck, and that's really everything for me today. I'll probably be putting the Sylvans up. I'll put up a post Dragons of Legend list as well. I'll probably be testing like Mathematician and Curio Bandit, so you might see a few random lists come up for that until I've refined it all. So that would be it for me for about a week, maybe, on zombies at least. I'll try and bring you a Sylvan deck profile because I've been running that. Really excited for that. And maybe my Evo tile one as well, because I've got that lying about that I haven't put together properly. And then I'll go back to Mecha Phantoms all post primal. So much post primal, sorry guys, that I want to talk to you about. So when we get there, we'll go through all that. But for today, that's everything. Comment, like, subscribe. Look forward to hearing what you think about my deck finally, and then we'll just call it there, guys. So yeah, have a good day, guys. Swiftdeath out.